plastic mug, Ian.
Wow.
Isn't it? It's lovely.
Erica flipped out when she saw it. She's like, "Are we selling this in the store?" I'm like, "No, this is special for very special people."
Oh, you guys are. Can we should put that on.
You have to do something very special to get it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's a special mug. All right, it's cool.
Because somebody didn't ask John's permission before making it.
Yeah. People probably told you, Ian. They're like, just send him an email. He approves everything. Yeah. Like he just approved. So, did you guys all hear about Jason accidentally buying 400 hoodies?
No. Which one? Wait. How do you accidentally buy 400 hoodies first? And second of all,
so he's communicating back and forth with the hoodie people, and the hoodie people, basically set everything up. This is it. This is the template. This is what it is. People. And he responded back to them like, "Sounds good." And they went and started purchasing. They started purchasing the hoodies and then printing the hoodies. And they're like, "Okay, they're ready to ship now." And he's like, "I never saw like an invoice or anything. He just said sure." And they're like, 400, bang, they'll be here tomorrow. So he showed up and he's like, "I'm really sorry. I just accidentally." But I have a fear in my head that it's just a test. He's going to say that. He's like, "I wonder how far I can push John in buying things." He's trying to learn
the whole ask for forgiveness thing. That's like a dangerous skill.
So are these new exclusive?
He's trying to get me to authorize buying $5,000 of furry costumes for Bear vs. Bear. So he's communicating with the furry community through back channels about getting.
I feel like now they're not very back channels.
Yeah,
not anymore. Is becoming bright.
Not anymore. And I'm like, you can go buy wait for Halloween and go to the store and buy like one of those plastic ones that almost kills you. It'll work just fine. So.
Oh my god. What do you call it? Are these unreleased hoodies?
No, these are the Rekha hoodies.
Oh, okay. I thought we should like special unreleased ones.
No, these are from the strategic hoodie stockpile.
I mix those stories, and people are like, "He's ordering 400 furry hoodies."
It'd be really fun it'd be really more fun if he was just for a joke getting like a quote on some ridiculous design, and then they actually got 400 of them, and they're like, it's like as bad as the burn. The bridges you burn should light the way.
Yeah,
and like the John Strand yelling like. It's one thing to have 400 Rekha hoodies, which is like an actual cup or an actual like thing. Yeah,
we've been thinking about possibly taking some of these very custom photos, maybe put like a billboard on the way into like Wild West,
just
scan this QR code.
Yeah, scan this QR. Yes, a billboard.
You're on the right way.
Yeah, and so we'll send you that invoice, John.
Wait, hold on, Ralph. Is this what I think it is? Because that needs to not happen.
Yes.
Oh no.
It's pretty good. It's good. It is going to say, welcome, welcome to Wild West Hacking Fest,
Welcome, partner, to Wild West Hacking Fest.
Be like me and the Pied Piper on Silicon Valley. I'm the Pied Piper.
I can just imagine all the other people just trying to drive up to the mountain there and just being like, what is going on? He's everywhere.
I mean, how much would that cost, really? I don't know what
it couldn't be that expensive.
Costs in South Dakota.
I have no idea.
I'm already printing off magnets to put on cars.
Is South Dakota the state where, like, the beginning of the state, it says something about, oh, wait till you get to the end. There's this amazing store, and like every 5 miles,
Wall Drug. It's
Wall Drug. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Wall Drug. And it isn't just in South Dakota. There's wall drug signs literally all over the world. Like they're in Italy, they're in Germany.
It's like only 3,000 miles till you get to Wall Drug.
But the hard part was I used to give cave tours at Black Hills Caverns, and I would get to talk to tourists.
First job.
And they're like, yeah, so we drove across the state, and we stopped at Wall Drug. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. It's like the biggest disappointment. It's like the biggest tourist trap. Like, it's basically one great big huge tourist trap gift store, and they have 5-cent coffee. And I don't know, it's nothing that great.
The sign said it was free coffee, so
yeah.
No, I think it's coffee. The water, ice cold water, is free and has been free.
Not with inflation.
Coffee is still 5 cents.
It sounds like south of the border on this side of the world.
Oh
yeah. All right.
Yeah, John gave tours. I want to hear that speech.
How much does it cost to do a billboard in South Dakota? I don't know.
Here we go. Someone's
1,100.
1,100
for a large billboard. A digital one is 1,400.
Why is the digital one more?
Oh no, we got to look at that Blitz service.
I don't know. Literally, it's the first link I saw. Is the first link I saw. This isn't heavy research.
Yeah.
Let's go live.
Yeah, let's go live. Let's do it. All right, everyone ready for the hand?
Let's do it.
We've been live.
Hand. Well, we're live, but like seriously live.
I'm scared.
No, seriously, that is just as bent as my toe. Welcome to another edition of Black Hills Information Security Talking About News, where we have the crooked finger and the crooked toe that bring the best information security news possible to you in your YouTube feed, but only if you click like and subscribe, which I think makes that happen. I don't know. If you do it, you're probably going to get just spammed constantly from all the stuff that we do, but it's good stuff. We swear. It's all just absolutely fantastic. And the saddest thing about what I just did is I know that there's somebody out there that has a foot fetish that I just made your day. And to that person, I want to say, you're welcome. In this particular edition, we have all kinds of fantastic news of breach in Plex, another, not 0-day, but another vulnerability and attacker group taking advantage of ADFS because that never goes wrong. We have stories from Nato, DoorDash, which apparently was breached in 2019. Who knows? And then this company named Okta and Twilo, I don't know if they're used. I don't know if they've caught on, but we're going to see because we have a fantastic cast today. I am joined by apparently like 3 or 4 people. I think I had my foot up and everyone just left right away. We have Mike on as always. Mike, thank you so much for joining. And he is rocking a stylish and fantastic blue team shirt, everybody. Look at it. Have you been working out, Mike? Or is it just the shirt? Oh, shh. Don't tell anyone. We're also joined by Wade Through Logs, who's rocking the fantastic mustache. Wade, thank you so much. And we got the Wild West Hacking Fest shirt. Speaking of excellent facial hair, we have Ralph is joining us as well. Corey,
I'm not here.
Yeah, I guess.
And Ben. Hey, Ben. Thank you so much for joining. We really, really appreciate it as well. So what do we want to do for the first story? Ralph, Corey, anyone want to take a shot at what this is? Just a nightmare of a show. There are so many stories.
There was this is just the data breach edition.
It was data breach.
It's like ransomware was like dominating, and all of a sudden data breaches are like, hold my beer and watch this.
We don't have to talk about compliance today. We can talk about Plex.
Oh God, no. Okay, Plex.
Plex again.
This
time it's different.
I mean, it's not that different, I guess.
We are taking steps to make sure this doesn't happen again. Oh, sorry. That's the one from 3 years ago.
Oh gosh. Hardcore. Yeah, so Plex got breached, exposing usernames, emails, and encrypted passwords, by the way. Hopefully bcrypt.
Well, I hope when they say encrypted, they mean not encrypted.
It's MD5. we all know it's MD5. Ladies and gentlemen, start your tracking rigs.
Yes, MD5 is a hash, not encryption. Thank you, Corey, for bringing that.
I like how Corey clarifies that for us. Yes. So this is what, 20 million accounts in Plex?
It's the way that it leads into it is so concerning. We discovered suspicious activity. It's not even that we noticed. It's just like we happen to like, oh, look at all these SQL queries. That's weird. It's like basically what I see that as is an admin went an MS SQL manager and saw a bunch of weird queries he didn't run and then was like, huh.
So it's like, hey, Bill, are you running union selects on the login page with our back-end database?
Because they're in the same room and they can yell at each other. This is perfect. I love this kind of cohesion.
Oh, my God.
There is no indication of any personal account information other than emails
and password addresses.
No PII except for everything except for your social, but only
all they can do is execute code on your Plex server. It's not that big of a deal. You have that air gap.
And they say it's only a limited set of data.
Well, there's not
only limited people.
That's good. That means they forgot that they probably limited the query to a million instead of like unlimited.
I'm wondering why I have so many extra users on my Plex server now.
So I've had a number of people that have said that the way Plex has handled this has not been very good. And then some people, Plex has been communicating directly with their customers and saying that they are actually handling this fairly well. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I don't think it's possible really for a company to get full kudos. Like everyone kind of gathers around and like, wow, that was a great data breach, you guys. Fantastic.
Good job. Great job.
How much legitimate data is on Plex? If you're
not much.
Well, right? So that's my first thought. Like,
there's two things. There's two things. One, it can potentially be a code execution vector if you can log into someone's Plex server. There's not like a current CVE for it where you can just be like, oh, run command on my Linux server or whatever. But there's always a possibility when you're administrating an application that there's RC, and that could be what they're going after. But second of all, a lot of people have personal media, family photos, family, videos, or other personal things that they don't want to share publicly that now potentially could have been accessed if someone.
I agree with you, but I don't think a majority of people are using Plex in that way.
Well, there's 20 million people.
I'm going to tell you right now, at least like 5 of those are me forgetting which user account. I'm like, I'll just make another one. So, like,
why does this guy have 10?
Oh my God.
So
there's really not too much sensitive data.
You're right, though. You are. It's not business email compromise.
No, it's not the sexy, stuff like.
Yeah, but wait.
It could be used to link other accounts, right? Like the whole like Cisco password sharing, right? Yeah. And then you get if your email is in that breach, I can then use that and send you a Plex email, right? Or a Cisco employee, you send them, hey, your Plex account is down, and they click.
There's always an avenue.
We did talk about this, but does anybody have like the data? Is it publicly exposed? Like
I can't find it, and
no,
I
always
always
go
hunting
yet.
for this.
Or at least it's not out easily.
It's probably for sale somewhere for like 5 Bitcoins.
5 Bitcoin. That's the starting rate for.
Wait. Hold on. 6 Bitcoin.
I mean, the last one we talked about was the Neopets breach, which, according to the data I have, was bought by Mandiant. So we can they literally like the Mandiant breached account was like, hey, I'll buy this.
I could just see Kevin Mandia being like, finally, I'll be able to get back to my Neopets. I forgot my password.
The source code. I can finally edit my Neopets.
He's out on his yacht with a Starlink back. So I got my Neopet back.
Speaking of breaches, and again, LastPass, anyone?
Oh my God!
Well, this one is a little different. This is a little different.
Yeah, is it different? Okay, it is different.
There is a little different. It's not. We just noticed SQL queries being executed on our production database.
That is true. I mean, they both have had security incidents in the past. But
they have, absolutely. But this one is specific, I think, for source code. It wasn't actually access to anything in the back-end database. Well, this one, I would say, I think that LastPass handled this one pretty good.
They don't give you a lot of info in this.
They don't, but they got right out in front of it, and they basically told the extent of what they believe the password was. And then the frequently asked questions are pretty solid on this one as far as how the breach goes. Like, have any of our passwords been compromised? But still, I think that this taps into the fear that I have with password managers. And I've felt this way for a long, long, long time, is if somebody is able to crack LastPass like a nut, they've got everything, right? And I don't know, like I said, it makes me like very uncomfortable, but I still think it's infinitely better than like writing passwords down or using the same password everywhere. Wade?
So I've never used LastPass. Does LastPass have a token? Like you can put tokens in it? Like
you can put two-factor authentication in there.
So I just found out that existed. Like I have always put tokens on my phone and a token app and never had them in one location, tokens and passwords. And I will admit I had just drank in a Starbucks and I got like pretty crazy about it. I was like, why is this a thing? Why are all my stuff in this one spot where if it gets breached, there you go, all my passwords and my tokens. Doesn't that limit MFA? Like,
but Wade, it's easy. You go to the website, it automatically fills it in, and it's done. I don't have to deal with that.
Hold on.
Well, so you're talking about a lot of things. Like the whole concept of something like this being cracked all the way open is pretty difficult without individual access to each. So it depends on how you have it set up. If it's LastPass for business, then they do actually possess your keys. Or if you enable, they have like, when you set up your LastPass account, they let you choose. Do you want to give us your keys, or do you want to be responsible for your own keys? And if you're responsible for your own keys, that means they can't be breached unless they also compromise your endpoint, which is theoretically possible, but they don't actually store your credentials. They store encrypted.
They just have the encrypted data. Like
exactly.
It's like, but do you kind of look at this kind of based on that? It got me thinking, is this like, as individuals, we can't be trusted to have nice things, so we have to do this.
Correct.
Until we have enough responsibility.
Yes, it is, and it's I think it's a good security, and we tell clients all the time to get LastPass because the other alternative is the spreadsheet.passwords.txt, or under your keyboard, or not having secure passwords, having the same account for Plex as you do for your bank.
Yeah, so I'm okay with.
MC brought up a good point. I want to call this out. LastPass never has your master key.
That isn't always true.
But is it?
Yeah, with the enterprise version, because the administrator of that enterprise account can log into those vaults, right? They have to share the key.
They have the key. Also, when you set up your account, you can opt into giving them your master key so that you can reset your account via email instead of just losing your entire vault.
Another thing, you can set up these with single sign-on, right? So once you log in, and that's your same password for now your password authenticator. So if you're able to get my password right off the bat, and it doesn't matter, you have all. So
most solutions nowadays do support a two-factor and conditional access, right? Or a combination of all three of those things, right? So you have to have a two-factor device just to get into your password manager. And in like some cases, you have to have a two-factor device and something like a recovery key, just for that initial login. Or
who the hell keeps the recovery keys? Like, it's like, print this out and put it someplace.
Yeah. They're really good canary.
It's like half a factor, whatever. And then the last thing that they have is what do you call it? Where they will say, Are you logging in from Russia? This is a weird place for you to be just starting your account, And like, hey, did you just know you logged in from wherever? Just letting you know that you've never logged in from this place. And so like they have these like levels of this, right? But if the only way that like the one LastPass like a full attack, they would have to compromise the company and then push out all new code that then steals all your keys. Does that make sense?
Well, even then you'd have to compromise the endpoint as well.
Yeah.
But I still come back to look at what happened with Twitter. And basically where Mudge came out, and he's basically like something like X thousands of people have access to everyone's private DMs in Twitter, right?
Yeah, because it's not encrypted.
Exactly. And we have a lot of these things where you talk to these companies where they're like, look, we're doing all of the security, trust us. And I don't know, does LastPass have a letter of attestation that's public from a good security testing company? Or is it, how do we know? How do we know that this is actually being evaluated? And this is one of those things I wish that these companies would have some type of evaluation that was publicly like released, so we knew that they were tested by a good one. Gwen says, yes, if we can get a link to that, that would be amazing to look at that.
So they have a couple of things. First of all, they have a thing called "What Happens If LastPass Gets Hacked," which explains where they have your keys, where they don't have your keys, all that stuff. I will say, like John, we talk about this all the time on the Crypto CoinSec podcast, where it's a standard requirement for pretty much any smart contract, which is like a crypto company to have an audit, to have a public audit that is, and that it doesn't stop anything from being hacked, because a lot of the time it's, this was 2 years ago, or this is that last year, and then the code changes every 5 seconds. So it's just a little checkbox. It says verified. Also, the answer to the question, who keeps their recovery keys? The answer is anyone that's lost all their passwords. Because that straight up sucks.
Zero trust means full ownership to that. That's
now White Cyberduck is pointing out that 1Password is actually publishing their security assessments. And they actually shared a link with it and who had done them. So you're looking at the firms. So they're SOC 2 Type 2 certified. Don't care. They're constantly being tested by
look at their developer tools report. Let's read that and see. Hope there's a critical finding saying data breach.
Yep. And get this, they have the name of the company and they have the actual report from the company as well. So that's really solid. And it looks like they're rotating through a number of different firms as well. So that's cool. I dig that. That's
We like I personally like 1Password more than LastPass, but hey.
Yeah, either way, they're both zero trust platforms, though. They should be where you have control over the key. You can ruin your own day, right? But, you know, the attacker model here is that if LastPass gets fully compromised, right, hopefully they'll know something happened. And then number two, they have all your encrypted data, right? Which is the whole point of encryption. That is the model. That is the security model.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm going to say is these firms I like what 1Password is doing, and more firms need to be following that model, because I just looked at the firms that are doing the testing and they're all solid firms.
Yeah. I mean, I think the conversation really, is it worth the trade-off? I think the answer is, my opinion is yes.
Yeah.
It is better to have LastPass potentially get portions of their stuff get breached and have all your eggs in one somewhat secure basket versus having, your eggs are just like laying out on the internet for everyone to find. It's just my opinion, or on your domain. I do think enabling SSO to LastPass is a terrible idea, though, for the record.
Okay.
That should never be configured. It should be master password only. Anything else?
Even if it's a crappy master password, I mean, they still got to get the data. So,
well, it shouldn't be a crappy master password.
It shouldn't. I'm just saying that's better than the other model, which is everyone used the same damn password anyways.
It's literally in the name. It should be the last password you have to remember, but like it should be a good password.
Make it count. This is it. I love how Shovelly Joe pointed out, said SOC 2, because they mentioned that they're SOC 2 type 2. Says SOC 2, the accounting industry's preferred method of monetizing perceptions of security. Which seriously, that is exactly what it was. Like SOC 2 type 2. And I've mentioned this on the show before. I'm going to mention it again. SOC 2 type 2 is the accounting industry looking around going, there's a lot of money in security. We need to get in on that. And they created their own standard. So I'm going to create a security standard on April 1st, and we're going to put it out there, and it's going to be dedicated for nothing but accounting firms. And we're going to put it out there and just have like ridiculous standards. Like every password has to be 72 characters long and all of these things as well. So
one last breach we have, and that is DoorDash, because now everyone's going to know how much you probably order out.
Oh.
I never use DoorDash just because they never have any good food where I'm at.
Oh,
Is it just me? Is it just DoorDash?
No, it's not just you. I think it had its heyday, and I think it's gone really south, in my opinion. This is my personal subjective. The food, it's one of those things where the gig economy works really well until everyone does the math a year later and is like, wow, we're hemorrhaging money on this. This is a terrible idea.
How are we going to make this work from here on out?
So what was breached? Was my taco order breached? Because
maybe. So including names, email addresses, delivery address, phone number, next of kin. No, I'm just joking. It's a couple things. 4-digit codes, credit card, or the last four of the credit card number,
social security or insurance.
Social security
does not include those numbers. Doesn't include those things.
Family members.
I mean, if you set your social security number to DoorDash, you got a problem.
That was my question.
That wasn't
my social to get a taco.
That's a those aren't pillows moment. That wasn't DoorDash at that point.
But listen, guys, they're responding, and they are further enhancing their security. They're working with security experts. They've notified everyone, and law enforcement is coming.
The top.
Is there a tracker? Like, is there like a tracker? Like, you know how when you order food, there's like a tracker. Is there like a breach data tracker where you can follow your data?
Pizza tracker. It's like how far they weren't secure before. They're about 75% of the way there now.
Yeah.
No, John. It's the tracker of where your internet data is going. It's like,
where it is.
Oh, look, it's in China. It's in China. It's in Russia too. Oh, look, it's in Algeria. We got a problem.
We got an issue. It doesn't say how much data was actually stolen though, or taken. They kept it pretty vague. They're just like, call us if you need some more help.
Call us if you think you're cool enough to know what we should have put out there.
Do you want to reorder that same order you had last year? Come on, one more time.
And you know that they're just going to give it to you over the phone. It'd be like the hint hotline for video games back in the 90s. Like, thank you for calling DoorDash. So the details of our breach is we were hacked through a spear phishing campaign, and they got access to all of these things. Specifically, your data is now in China. Thank you for calling for an extra
your data's now in
per minute. press 1.
Spear phishing campaign, free tacos.
What gets me on this one, though, is that it's another case, and we've seen these before, going all the way back to Target and before, where it's a third-party vendor that got breached that allowed them to get in there.
Yeah, that's why you should always just have a VPN from your vendor straight to your database server.
As a company, I will only deal with third parties entirely, so when they get breached, I didn't get breached.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you joke about that, but okay, so whenever we were setting everything up for BHIS, there were some people that were a little bit frustrated that we set up all of our email originally in Google and the Google Apps domain. And I always use the story, if there's some type of huge vulnerability and it hits Google, we're a victim. Whereas if I'm running all of our security servers and we get hit, I am completely responsible for that. So there, you joke about that, Ralph, but like, seriously, there's a lot of people that make that calculation and go with it.
It says it was a sophisticated phishing campaign. So what do you think?
Sure
No typos? No typos?
It was a sophisticated phishing campaign that was launched by an APT group.
Only the
ISO file with a link.
An ISO file with a link. Yep.
Whoa, that's too sophisticated.
Do you think it's the ransomware district of Eastern Europe?
Delivery address and phone numbers. I feel like the biggest thing is this is going to lead to a lot of doxing if it ever gets published. People that like the address, like celebrities. I mean, like John. People are going to know where John lives. People are going to know where Elon Musk lives. All that crap.
I mean, assuming that was everybody.
Or he just DoorDash to some random hotel and they're like, we found out where John Strain lives. It's 100 Marriott Way, San Diego.
You're not too far off. They're going to send in and swap me. Room 236.
Room 236. He's there now.
John Strand, get down. Get down now.
I don't know who that is. I'm male model John Strand.
Oh, my God. No, this is... What is it? Speaking of ransomware, we did have one ransomware story.
Was there a ransomware story?
Yeah, so the Greek gas operators refused to negotiate with ransomware groups after the attack.
And
probably because they
I
were
like how this is newsworthy.
Yes. Yeah. They're not going to negotiate though. They're going to fight it out, and hopefully they will get some gas turned back on. I guess the National Gas Transmission System operator.
Ragnarlock. I don't know.
Really thinking of that one.
It's like Ragnarlocker.
There was possibly some leakage of a number of directories and files. Very ambiguous. But they're not going to negotiate. We don't negotiate with ransomware operators.
I still think it's funny. Like, this is kind of like what Costa Rica has been doing. And there's systems that are still down in Costa Rica.
Oh,
and
man.
Like, Costa Rica's like, we ain't paying. And Russia's like, if you don't pay, you're never getting it back. And they're like, cool, pura vida. And they're out.
Pura vida, yeah.
Pura vida. And that's that. It's like, hey, these systems are down. They're like, we don't use them much anyway. At least now.
So. That breach is going on a dump website. So Corey,
which one?
Get ready.
It's a Ukrainian site, one? Dude. I don't bother with those. They're always.
You don't
scams.
bother? All right.
I'll wait for it to hit the clear net.
I'll forward to you.
You may be wading through logs, but me and Corey have to wade through.
We're wading through dumpsters. Is what we are.
Like 2 raccoons or crack addicted black bears.
Yeah, I'm like, all right. One day of R&D, I come out looking like, I got rabies. I'm like, is this normal? My hands like swollen up.
Okay? He has like no facial
He's
hair.
Not okay.
I don't know.
He's not okay.
Oh yeah, sorry. The raccoons don't like it when I have facial hair.
You have to deal with some real classy people.
I guess the moral of the story is use as much gas as you want. Maybe boil some water.
Isn't Europe having a problem with natural gas anyway?
You probably won't have to pay because they.
Actually, I think Germany's down to 10% Russian gas, and their stockpiles are pretty good now. So they're
solar is booming. That's all I gotta say.
It is. It is there.
It is really hot.
Did we
so
load?
It works out,
Did we load the story about Twitter and Mudge?
What? Twitter? No,
we did not.
Go ahead, give it to us. What you got?
I don't
use talk
Twitter.
About that. So this is a whistleblower story. But basically, what it boils down to is, I can't remember what his role was.
Are you talking about the security?
Yes.
Security. He was like in charge of security at Twitter, and pretty much
was. So
he was
Mudge is one of the original Loft group hackers out of Boston, and he actually testified in front of Congress a number of years ago and Twitter hired him to get on board to help them with their security. And apparently it's bad. And it's so bad that he quit and he went public as a whistleblower and basically said, it is an absolute train wreck of security over here at Twitter. No one's doing anything about it. Everyone has access to everyone else's DMs. So apparently it is really a train wreck there. And normally if someone would have came out and said, you know, there's problem with security in this particular situation, I don't think I would pay it all that much mind. But the fact that it is Mudge, and kind of his history and what he has done in the industry and for the industry over the years, like seriously, he is not a chump at all. And I keep wondering, you know, there was somebody that posted on Twitter that it's interesting how these big firms go out and hire these titans of the industry from like, you know, the early noughties and early 90s or late 90s. And they hire these people in, and then they're completely surprised whenever these people do something like this. And a lot of these people got to where they are by not putting up with like corporate shenanigans. So no, it looks like the security, we all kind of guess that security is bad in organizations, but it looks like from Mudge's perspective that it's bad enough that he had to go public and basically release information about bots, who had access to what data, and the fact that there were multiple systemic vulnerabilities in the platform that could be compromised by bots, could be compromised by nation states.
Yeah, so I think it was the nation state stuff. They're probably there. Whoa, there was
it's the Elon Musk stuff.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Apropos to the time, right? Elon is like, I'm gonna buy Twitter, and they're like, it's not secure.
It's right on that, right? He's trying to back out because of the bot stuff. I felt like that was a little weird, right? And a lot of timing wise,
like I said, if it was anybody other than anybody, but if it was anybody other than like somebody at Mudge's level, you would be like, this is just internal politics. There's probably money involved. This is dealing with a lawsuit. But no, Mudge cares about money, but I think that he really cares about doing the right thing, and he has for a long time in his career. But it is interesting because, this totally feeds into the politics of the situation. But it's going to be really interesting to see how far this goes.
Elon's team it reported today in The Verge, went ahead and subpoenaed Mudge. So it's all going to come together at this point.
He has a billion reasons why he should.
Yeah, well, that's true.
That's true.
Cost. Elon's won at this point. Yeah. Like if this ends up going to court, and because I think the big reason why he said he backed out was because there was too many bots on the platform and the security was bad. This feeds right into what he was saying for trying to get out. Now, I'm not saying that Elon Musk is a good person. I still think he's a total shitheel. But congratulations, Elon, you won this round. It's amazing what almost an unlimited amount of money will do for an individual these days.
So if we want, instead of getting companies to be good and audit their own security and publish the results, we should just offer to buy them and then let the court find the results.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Come out.
If only we all had the money to make that kind of proposition.
We can do it with
we crowdfund it.
No. You want to do crypto. You want to do DAO.
DAO.
We get a DAO together and we call it like takeover. Anonymous. We call it takeover DAO. We just amass funds and then buy companies and force them to release their security incidents and then sell the company.
What? Sell the company for a loss? Like I don't understand.
There's firms out there that are probably looking at this and like, excellent, thank you.
Excellent idea. This is how we buy it for much simpler money.
Let's call it due diligence.
Due diligence.
So, actually, Ian just pointed out, isn't that called a hedge fund? Isn't that literally what it does?
No. That's the nice way to say it. Don't say it like that, though.
Well, hedge funds don't do anything good for the public, so I wouldn't say that.
Yeah. So where did it go? Somebody, oh crap, it just popped and it went by. We got a lot of people coming through. But one of the comments was, my favorite part of the story, this is from Katie Villa. One of my favorite parts of the story is Twitter's trying to say that Mudge is a disgruntled employee. And then Infosec Twitter on Twitter is complaining about Twitter and saying, no, we believe Mudge. Yeah. Like, it's so awesome how we're all using the platform to rag on the platform. It's like, we got the chainsaw, we got the ladder, we got the tree limb. We're just out there. Just
oh God.
It's fine. It's fine. This will be good. So.
Yeah, I think it shows that the importance of the response, not just for the public, but also for the people who are involved with the breach, because you risk that now. You risk someone who doesn't like how you're responding to a breach, who's internal and has a lot more details, going public. And every CSO or CEO or whoever should consider that when you're talking
as
about
a possibility.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that, well, and if you remember, I can't remember, was it Equifax? I think it was the Equifax hack. Maybe it was a different one. But what happened is the breach happened, and then one of their former CISOs came out after the fact and said that they had seen this. They had seen a pattern of these types of vulnerabilities be ignored by the organization before they actually left, and they got out because of it. So I think that this, when you're looking at your risk model, if you're a bunch of executives and you're sitting around and you're like, shh, if we keep this quiet, no one will talk about it. And you think that your team is just not going to talk about it ever. That's not going to fly in the future. It's entirely possible that somebody will basically blow a whistle on this as well.
And I hope that he doesn't get screwed over. It seems like he has at least industry reputation to not, but
Mudge will be fine. Yeah. And I'm also willing to bet that this isn't something that he did easily. This isn't something that he did just on a whim. He thought long and hard about this.
It wasn't just a tweet, a drunken tweet.
It wasn't just a drunken tweet. Hey, you guys. Hey, you guys.
Guys, you're never going to believe me. 1 out of 843.
I think he started the process back when he got fired. So the timing is sus because of the Elon Musk stuff, but I think it's been in the works since like January, February.
Yeah.
He had tweeted something about large amounts of data that he was trying to transfer back in like May, I do believe.
No,
something about it.
He tweets, anyone know how to exfiltrate terabytes of databases from Twitter on Twitter?
Yeah. It's got all of his questions on Stack Overflow. Trying to export terabytes of data from Twitter. Please tell me how.
I mean,
hey, what about ADFS?
The other thing I was going to say, and I don't know if this is a conversation we want to get into, but the whole like utility, like is Twitter a public utility? Did they like?
Oh dear God!
Because it's one of those things where it's like
this is
Pandora's box.
It's become like. It's the standard, though. It's the place. It's the place. Like it literally says, like, "Oh, this is where politicians argue at each other now." Like and
you know what? You know what sucks about that question is I think it's an absolutely wonderful, valid question that we need to have. It's just not possible to frickin' talk about it right now, right? We can't sit back and have a conversation about this being a utility, being this, commons or the public place, without it absolutely blowing up.
Let's work on getting the internet as a utility, because I think we could.
Yeah, let's start there.
That. Yeah, start there. Right?
Let's start there.
Let's start at that,
and then we can Google and Twitter.
Yeah, and I agree with Corey though. If we step back before we get to like that whole politic piece, right? Like before we get there, right? We can just say though that these platforms, right, whatever they are, like as soon as like one becomes the dominant one, you can't just like start another. And Corey talked about this. We talked about this earlier today. People try and they just never succeed because the one's already made the dominance and everyone's already there, right?
I agree. I think that that's not true. And the reason why I think that that's not true is there's like a curve for a lot of these things.
MySpace.
Thank you very much. Right? Okay. MySpace. And then you have Facebook. And Facebook is now dying and it's being replaced by like TikTok and Snapchat.
Can we have another platform, by the way, a platform that's not a company? Can it just be like,
protocol?
An IRC, a protocol?
IRC, yes.
You can, but no one will use it.
There you go. Ralph,
someone did use it.
I thought that was more what Mastodon is trying to do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, yes.
There's so many.
There's other things.
Such a good band. Such a good band. Thank you for bringing it
up.
So, but no, I think that that's one of the hard things about trying to regulate a specific company in this way is about the time that the gears of justice move to regulate it, it's now dead. Like it's so slow.
Can we at least like do a public takeover, like have USPS take over Twitter and just have it be like, you want to send a tweet, 42 cents, get a forever stamp.
A forever tweet? Oh my God.
It's 42 cents because we got to fire up the buggy.
Yep. I will say this though, any platform that does end up being like a protocol of a platform, there will be some cost that we'll have to pay. Whereas a lot of these other platforms, the reason they've exploded is because they subsidize that cost through other means that don't require me to pay anything, right?
Yeah.
They've figured out how to make it free.
So I think that that's a good point. I think what we need to do is we need to develop a protocol where you have a whole bunch of computers around the world that are trying to calculate and defining like integrity checks for each of the messages. And before it gets actually put on some type of a ledger of
a rope.
He's buzzword bingo.
It'd be like a rope. It'd be like a fence.
Like a rope.
So they can be calculating, and we can set up like how fast we want the messages to go, the number of zeros at the beginning of the message, and the hash that we want it to be associated with. And then we can sell access.
This sounds like it could turn into something big. We'll see.
I'm making a DAO to buy Twitter. Who's in?
What? That guy Ergos, mute him. Mute him now.
Just take him down.
Shut it off now.
So
I am.
Do you want to talk, John? Do you want to talk about Microsoft ADFS, the new attack surface that'll
yeah. So this one I thought was really funny. If we could pop it up.
Microsoft's like, I thought we said not to use this anymore.
So, that's actually literally what Microsoft said. Is like you shouldn't have this exposed to the internet.
Did you turn it off?
Did you turn it off?
Did you turn it off? You mean turn it off and on again?
Yeah. It's the 3 switch rule. You got it 3 times.
So basically the way that this attack works is the attackers were seeing. Now, this is one of the things that blows my mind about this. The attackers got privileged domain administrator accounts, and then they were able to add in a rogue dynamic link library that was unsigned that they could take over the ADFS server, and then they could do their magic web. So they could basically do whatever authentication they want. And granted, I think that this is interesting. It's a great persistence mechanism. It's something that should be researched. We should have like signatures written for it in SIM. But I gotta say, tongue in cheek, it's basically like, just so you know, in the news today, if an attacker gets domain administrator in your environment, bad things can happen. Is this a surprise? Like, I don't know, Wade, you do a lot more with threat intel than I think anybody else on this. Maybe Mike does quite a bit too, but we're threat people. Seriously, for those of you on the blue team on this, like I said, it's interesting from a signatures perspective, but seriously, is there a news story here? Like, no.
I don't think so. Then for your key takeaway, right? Once they get domain admin, you're done. I think that's everybody knows that and everyone feels that. It's like, what can't you do? That's a better question. And so
just for clarification, you don't actually need domain admin, but you do need a bit of privileges. Okay, like
you need a bit of privileges,
high-level privileges, not just like
pretty high-level privilegess.
Yes, high-level privileges, but not quite a domain admin, but like a group that probably is really close to domain admin, but like not
adjacent. Domain admin, adjacent.
They're like brother sister, kind of related. They're related. And then magic, right? Yes.
The funny thing to me is this, and I see it on from the blue side all the time, that you get an article like this, and if everybody's looking at the headline and nobody's actually reading what it's doing and what you need for the attack to succeed. I get this all the time where it's like, Mike, have you seen this? Are we compromisable this way? I went, well, if they go through spots A, B, C, D, and E, and they have to get through all that right before any sort of detection, everything through that, before they can even implement this, and like, so it's almost like a shock to the system that some of these things are writing them up that, hey, you need to worry about this, and you're going, well, in reality, you've got about 4 other things that you should be worrying about.
Oh, there you go.
I think that's happening.
That's the attack model, right? It's you're following the attack, the MITRE attack, right? I want to catch it way before it gets this far ever.
Because if it gets this far, you're in trouble. Like, it's a bad day at this point.
Well, see, the problem is everyone in the company is actually an ADFS admin because of configuration.
It's more convenient. It is. It's better. It's better when, hey, listen, if
they need to install the TikTok app on their computers.
Yes. There was a reason why. I forget why we did this, but we did. There was a reason why we did this. Yeah, I mean, I guess watch your ADFS admins, make sure they don't get phished, and maybe use break glass accounts for that instead of just having people with email accounts.
And that's what Microsoft says at the bottom. I think they said that this should be a tier 0 asset. Like, standard users should never be able to talk to the server directly.
Right. Ooh,
which
get them with the real info.
Yeah. And also, I think in this, I think in the actual write-up from Microsoft, not in this article, but the write-up from Microsoft, it basically, I think at the beginning, it says something to the effect of, you should be getting away from ADFS. Like, you should not be doing
Use modern auth. It can't be bypassed.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is if someone wants to go and invent a special name for every DLL replacement, DLL hijack, there's going to be a lot of names. That's going to be like 200-something names like the first day.
But I like
Magic Web is pretty generic too.
It is. We're gonna need something better than that.
But I think that the attackers should really have like a pony award at the end of the year, like around DEF CON, where they get together and they can all be like dark, shadowy figures on a video stream. Who came up with the most obvious name dynamic link library that was still executed and like worked in an environment? Like totally not malware.dll. You know,
virus.
it's like Well done, Next Gen Hacker 101 coming.
Windows is searching for virus.dll, and if you put it in any directory, it runs.
Yeah, virus.dll. It's a little bit too on the cheek, but
it's a defender. It's a defender exploit. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think Mike nailed it right. Whenever you're talking about this, how many steps? Like if this happened to you, there are so many other things that went wrong in your environment that you probably weren't very high on the pyramid of secure organizations.
Yeah, you've already lost.
Yeah, the only advantage is that you can bring out that, hey, listen, we need to start working on these things that you said, oh, yeah, we don't need to work on those. Why would we even bother with that? Well, here's how they get to this spot that you're worried about at this point.
And that's true.
This is a real good reason you should do threat intelligence and know the TTPs and where to detect.
Hold on.
This is wait, no. See, this news article is for the ambulance chaser security program.
Yes.
Like, are you an ambulance chaser CSO? If so, here's a news article that will get you to move away from ADFS.
Oh man,
yeah. Like it's getting exploited. Put a news article out about it, and we get rid of it. I told
exactly.
you,
That's seriously
every
like
time.
That's where we're at. It's like if someone's like, "Well, why should we get rid of ADFS?" I'm like, oh, "Fine, here's a hacker news article." I could just tell you why, but you know what? Here's a Microsoft article where someone got hacked. You're like, wait, someone got hacked? Okay, now I care.
Now we care.
So speaking of,
like I said, if you're in the pen testing community and somebody says, "Is this exploit actively being used by threat actors?" The answer is always yes.
Yes, because I just did it.
Speaking of ambulance,
stage for you. We're a hillbilly security firm based out of Deadwood, South Dakota, and it worked for us. I'm pretty sure the Russians are there too. Not to rip on the testers or anything, but seriously.
So speaking of ambulance chasing, have you guys seen the Facebook chatbot? It's gotten some recent news because it doesn't know what it likes and it actually hates Mark Zuckerberg and all the other fun stuff. Well,
what?
Yeah. This has been going on. I don't know why.
All the chatbots ever created have turned racist.
Yeah, so it's like an AI chatbot.
Eventually, that's the arc. It doesn't arc toward justice on the internet.
Facebook came out with this AI chatbot, which has said a bunch of really bad stuff, and then Google was like, "Hold my beer, we got one too." And so Google has opened up its experimental AI chatbot for public testing.
Is this the one that the guy with the whistleblower said it was sentient? Like, quit the company?
Oh my god!
Yes, this is the sentient one. Yes. Oh, we lost John.
Oh no! I will say the creepy thing I saw is, if you were an AI that became sentient, the first thing you do is convince everyone you're not sentient.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh no!
So,
that's
this chatbot just got released. They said it may say some things we're not proud of, and yeah,
at least they're warning you beforehand.
Yeah.
So wait, what does this have to do with Facebook? This is a Google test kitchen thing.
No, Google has one, or Facebook has one too, and Google didn't want to be outdone. And
they're like, hold on, we have a racist chatbot too.
Yes, exactly. We are a platform of AI people. We did this before Facebook even thought of it. That's what they wanted to say.
So what is the news here? That a sentient AI has convinced everyone it isn't sentient?
Yeah. Well, the news here.
I love how there's an ad for Westworld right there too.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense. Well, the news here is that chat bots that do AI are like a thing now. I don't know.
What is this for? Is it like, hey, I lost my Facebook account? Okay, let me have.
Where I'm going to ask security questions from now.
By the way, I hate Zuck. Okay, here's your account. Like, I don't want.
You're human.
I have no idea why there's like a big push for these AI chatbots, but
are they like learning something in the back end to drive the cars or something like that?
I feel like it's just a way for AI programmers to screw around.
Yeah, either that or it's a way for them to just, I don't know, data mine.
It's like how good is your natural language processing? Hold my beer. I'll show you how.
I'll make you a racist chatbot real quick. One sec.
I think part of it too is like. It's like the user base for these organizations like Facebook are so huge that if you really wanted dedicated support staff for everyone that uses that product or that service, like how many people would you have to pay? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So you just don't have support. It's that simple. You just, if you can't figure out how to use Facebook, you just don't use it.
Yeah. So
I wish it was that simple.
Yeah.
The chatbot is
okay. So what we need to do is create a product for everyone. It's like, are you sick of being the AI chatbot for your entire family? Well, get this. And then you put it on your, you just have a phone number. It just runs on that phone number. You're like, oh, you having computer troubles? Just text me. And it just.
So Google also had another vulnerability that came up, and that's in Chrome. Did you guys see
never
that?
heard of it. What's that?
Yeah. So Chrome, it's like this browser. It's kind of up and coming. And I guess it has a vulnerability that a bug that was patched. Actually, they released it on June 15th, and they did like a whole write-up, Project Zero, blah, blah,
They're
blah.
trying to upstage Project Zero at Microsoft. They're like, well, we're Project One, okay?
So it's a member corruption vulnerability. Anyways, upgrade your Chrome, upgrade your Edge, upgrade
those tabs can come back.
Brave. Pretty much everything but Firefox you should upgrade because they're all part of Chromium. It's like we're gonna have one browser. It's gonna be one, maybe. All right, we have three browsers technically.
Does it
says I
affect
can't
anything?
update. What do I do?
Does it only affect Chromium OS?
Well, yeah, it's not.
What
the
is
OS.
Chromium OS? Is
Chromium
like
OS
a sandbox?
No, that's Chrome OS.
I know, but it says Chromium OS.
Oh. Well,
I don't. Does anyone know what this vulnerability is? Because I'm trying to read it.
Well, no, it's part of Chromium. Chromium is like the open source project, right?
Yeah, isn't that's the browser?
I don't know.
The Chrome-like browser on
on
Linux, pretty much.
Yeah, there's been a bunch actually.
It's
recently.
string copy, dude. We were just talking about that like 2 weeks ago.
It is what it is, dude.
Oldie but a goodie.
Oldie but a goodie. Oh, we do. Well, here's another one though. This one actually is pretty good. VMware confirms Carbon Black causes blue screen of death.
You can't hack me if I'm dead.
Exactly. So VMware confirms that Carbon Black does cause blue screen of death.
I would say that's a security feature, though.
It is. So your EDR should mainly crash as soon as it detects a vulnerability.
Isolation mode.
Well, I would say if you blue screen, you can't get hacked.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Security through obscurity. You're making it a completely obscure. No one gets it.
No one gets in.
No one gets in.
If you experience this, please post your GIF detailing your experience in the chat.
Yes, it has to be blue screen though. All blue screen.
No, it can be any.
What these sort of things do to me though, it make me worry about is the people in infra that do the patching going, see, we can't have patches go out automatically, and then they never patch.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's where this comes in for us on the blue side. It goes against patching policies as far as.
Or how if anything in internal IT ever breaks, the first thing they go, oh, it's the antivirus for sure.
But wait. This is not. Wasn't a patch, was it? This is just Carbon Black updating itself.
This was an update.
No, this was Carbon Black nuking the system. So,
but it wasn't I guess I wouldn't assume it was manually applied, was it? Or was
no, it was an automatic patch.
Right? It's automatic, yeah.
So there's no argument against it because it's automatic. It's all good.
Well, and this has happened.
And put it in isolation mode too.
I think you can make it so they're not
these products. I want to know how the rule got pushed. Like if it was an automatic artificial intelligence rule, that it just all of a sudden decided that a critical system
that would be really amazing if that was true.
Now remember, Corey, it did happen. I think it happened. I can't remember if it happened with Cylance or CrowdStrike.
Poisoning the well, someone did it.
I think it was Cylance, actually. Like we're talking way, way, way back. God, it could have been Bit9 Carbon Black. Crap. But no, it was basically trained that a legitimate executable was actually Chrome. It actually went through and started nuking Chrome on every single system. And that was because somebody that was testing it was actually using Chrome as a wrapper for their malware. And it was learning that this was malware and it just nuked it.
I love that so much. Whoever did that, you're my hero. Because I've always talked about poisoning the well. You're like, oh, NTDLL.DLL, that's definitely malware.
Yep, totally malware. Totally malware. Well, you do it in degrees. So like if you want to do it, what you do is you actually take your malware, chunk it up. If you want to make it accepted, and you spread it across known good executables. And after a while, it learns that all these parts are good. If you want it to do the opposite, you take a good executable, you chunk it up, and then you basically just sprinkle it with really horrific malware and just start kicking it through the system. And all the different components of that good binary are in all these bad binaries. And when it reassembles all in one executable, the malware comes in and kills it. And that's why a lot of antivirus vendors, after that started happening, they really work very hard to have an allow list to say, these are system files. Do not nuke these freaking files ever.
It still happens.
So they basically said it was impacted by an update of our behavioral preventative capabilities.
Yeah, that sounds automatic. That sounds bad.
Either that or some dev just had the worst Friday push to production code of his life.
It's still the way that it's put out as an automatic as it's put as an automatic update, whether that was for the actual software that's the agent that's running on it or not. You get somebody that's non-technical and they say, hey, you see, automatically updated stuff. We can't do that. We need to make sure that it's manual. And then they never go ahead and update stuff.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we fight against.
That's totally fine. Patching, totally optional. Every organization is, not doing
Mike
it.
B says that it was Carbon Black that did it in the back, and they did it again with Outlook.
Okay, they did it with Outlook?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it sounds like they did it with Chrome and with Outlook.
Perfect.
I've seen them. I've seen EDRs nuke a Wi-Fi card.
Place impacted sensors into bypass mode. I hope you remember to remove that.
Microsoft over the last couple of years had a problem with that with their EDR and Outlook and Office products when they did an Office update.
Someone make can someone make a code execution vector that uses this one-liner that they paste in their remediation instructions? repcli.exe.
Dude, as red teamers, have you ever thought about making malware, like using the W2F bins and then using those, like hiding stuff in there because they're going to do weird stuff and then hiding that? Is that a thing?
Well, yeah. Let's just say we don't leak TTPs on this podcast anymore after Ralph. But I guess let's just say that anything that the EDR avoids is a target for us to use. So the answer is yes.
Yeah. And that's becoming a smaller and smaller list as time goes on. Like EDRs are getting, I think, Corey, I think you said it best, getting on, not that hard. Doing anything after that, way hard. Because computers are designed to run code. That's what they do. But once you start touching things on the system, things get a little bit dicey.
Yeah. It's figuring out the signature of.
But hey, maybe if you came from VMware Carbon Black, you might be whitelisted or allow listed or just bypassed entirely.
I always wanted to get like an RMM tool and just insert your malware inside the RMM tool. Or I don't know, just use the RMM tool post exploitation.
Yeah, we do that. It's called RDP.
I love RDP.
RDP can't MFA it, can't really secure it.
Oh no, I love though. I have seen it though where I was on engagement. They MFA'd it and they were like, "How did you get by it?" I'm like, "I just used SMB."
SMB. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. No, I used print spooler. I just printed.
Yeah. No, how did you do this? This is amazing.
It's I guess it's every EDR vendor has to walk this line though of do we at the end of the day the customer needs their computers to work to pay the vendor, right? Like if their computers don't work, they can't make any money, etc. So they have to walk the line between detection and actually letting people do their jobs. This is when it goes one step too far.
Well, and this gets into like on the blue team side, there like a lot of blue teamers, like Noah on our team. Noah's not on with us today. He says that there's tons of executables that they create allow lists and they create exceptions because they generate all of these different quote unquote false positives in their tools. And like if an attacker knew what blue teams were actually just creating rules just to filter out, then it creates an excellent blind spot opportunity for red teams to work with. So that's another thing to look at. What are the blue teams filtering out that is being used all the time? I mean, in one of our customers, they were actually using like run DLL 32 with script object and actually pulling down updates. Like it was the exact same thing that we do in red teaming with, ActiveX and pulling down .set files and execution. And that's literally what the vendor's product did. And when I saw it, I think it was like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I got the alert. And, Erica's sleeping next to me. And I was like, holy shit. Oh my God. Like this is totally one of our customers is compromised, and kind of sounded the alarm. And it came back from the customer. They're like, nope, that's totally the way that executable does in fact work. We just got this written up from the vendor. So trying to create that rule and modify it so it worked in that specific context was hard. And I know a lot of security teams, they'd be like, yeah, if anything does run DLL 32, it's totally legit. Just let it run. And that creates, once again, a huge blind spot.
Yeah, I know of a very popular piece of software from a company that does virtualization, uses sudo and will trigger EDRs whenever
does
it does
rhyme
updates.
With BSODs?
Yeah, it might rhyme with that.
So, but no, and we've seen that one too, like literally. And once again, we have customers that are like, "Oh, just put in a rule that just blocks, anything that sudos." It's like, what? No.
Yeah, the first time that I saw that, I got alerted on that one. It was one of my higher ups, and they were freaking out. And I looked at it and I went, "Well, this is legitimate as to what's going on."
White Cyberduck just brought up Palo Alto running Who Am I all the time. Yes, we have seen this in our customers as well. Like, once again, why in the hell is the system running Who Am I? Avante's endpoint management is unsigned and then runs unsigned PowerShell every 5 minutes.
That one's so funny. Okay. For the last story, we should talk about hacker sale of missile firm data.
Oh my God.
It's too good. We talked about it in the intro.
I don't know. Tell me.
Okay, so
which one is this? Which story is this?
It's the Nato one. It's the Nato one.
Of missile.
You talked about it in the intro. I'm surprised you don't.
Okay, got it. NATO investigates. Got it.
Yeah. So basically, there's someone's. I can't even say this with a straight face. Cyber criminals operating on Russian and English forums are selling 80 gigs of stolen data, which is from a vendor that creates missiles.
No.
MBDA Missile Systems admitted its data was among the stash, but claimed none of the classified files belonged to them.
It was a third-party vendor.
It was third party. Yep.
It was Twilio. They did.
It says it was compromised from an external hard drive, adding that it was cooperating with authorities in Italy. So is this is this a Kaspersky employee took their hard drive home and all your files belong to us?
So some of this data was labeled NATO confidential, NATO restricted.
Or was it actually just a physical stolen drive?
No, I think it sounds to me like it was a physical stolen drive, actually.
Imagine stealing a drive and you're like, oh, I'm going to flip this on eBay. You click it in it, you plug it in, it's like, NATO. You're like, let me go buy a lotto ticket. Let me go.
Yeah. They're asking for what? 15 Bitcoins?
15 Bitcoins. So yeah, I guess also I feel like this is they're just diagrams. It's not like they're selling the actual missiles. So I mean, I feel like if the first ingredient, it's like, what is a recipe? The first ingredient's like palladium. You're like, okay, I'm not Tony Stark. Like, what?
I was gonna say, you're Tony Stark.
My basement.
Yeah. What are you? Yeah. What? I don't know. I mean, I guess what is the risk? I mean,
I
always have a vision of a bunch of people getting together, we did when we were teenagers, and you got a copy of the Anarchist Cookbook. Yeah. And you're like, we're all gonna meet in Steve's garage. We're gonna make a bomb, and you open it up, and you're like, what is all of this? This isn't comment and all kinds of things underneath my cabinet. How does this work?
It's gonna be I mean, it's gonna be like, oh, you need this. It's gonna be like, I don't. What is the real risk? Is other than embarrassment to NATO, which I feel like is the real risk.
We could argue this is a very specific kind of customer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Only
North Korea. I feel like North Korea is probably like, who else? Sign me up.
Sign me up.
I have 15 Bitcoins.
That's a small price tag, right? For something they would want. So it's easy cash out for whoever's selling it.
That's awesome. Marty, I'm sure in 1985, plutonium is available in every single gas station. It's a little hard to come by in 1955.
Yeah, that aged well.
Yeah, that is accurate. Yes. I'm sure I can download missile diagrams on the internet, but I sure as hell can't 3D print them.
Not yet.
But you're welcome to try.
Yeah.
You're like, I have a 3D printed version of a missile. Cool. Yeah. What are you going to do with it?
That's actually a rocket that you can buy at a hobby store. That's not a missile.
The 3D printed ones only last one launch. I've tried it. It's not worth it.
Not with that attitude for it.
You don't even need to waste your money on the parachute. It's a waste. Just let it.
I like how
got a bad case of the cants.
I also like this, like the screenshot in the article is like a really bad 3D rendering of like what might be a truck with like some computers out of it. Like
what the hell is this?
It's like, okay, so it's a truck.
It's a 3D truck from the first Command and Control.
That's Command and Conquer. That's what I was gonna say.
That looks like a. Yeah, it looks like
turns into the base, you know. And then
actually the high definition graphics from the new Facebook Meta. What is it? Artificial reality.
I guess where I'm going with this is if I paid 15 bitcoins for that, I would feel like I would be pissed.
I'd feel like I was a little ripped off.
They're like, here, we got some clip art from Bulgaria. There you go.
All right. Well, folks, should we wrap it up?
Let's do it.
Wrap.
Okay.
Wrap it up.
All right, everybody. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for hanging with us while we basically ranted, talked about news. We did a lot today. So thank you so much. And be sure to join us at our Deadwood 2022 at wildwesthackinfest.com. Deadwood. Come on out. I will buy you a steak dinner. Everyone, or if you don't like steak, that's fine. We'll have vegetarian options. And also check out our YouTube channel. Click like and subscribe so you can get this for free all the time. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care.
Is Deadwood pirate themed now?